It's Sunday morning. We're just getting some petrol and then we're going to go out for a day.
A day in the Loue Valley. Hello, I'm Rachel. Welcome to Smile English Stories, where you can listen to English in lots of different contexts. If I speak too quickly or too slowly, you can change the speed in YouTube.
Hi, I'm sitting on a bridge in a pretty little place called Vuillafans. Vuillafans is in the Loue Valley here in France. It's a pretty little river valley. Here's the Loue. And today we're going to go for a walk.
Last year I told you about the River Loue. The River Loue is another pretty little river here in the east of France. It starts in the hills. It actually comes out of a cave and then it winds along the valley. If you follow the River Loue westwards, it winds through beautiful little villages and towns like Ornans and Clermont with its castle, with its chateau, and then it goes through Quinget, where there is a very good campsite, and eventually it goes not very far from Arc-et-Senans, where there's an amazing historical building to visit, where they used to make salt a long time ago. And eventually, if you follow the river, you will end up in the River Loue, just south of Dole.
So we drove here from home and we have just arrived in the village. It was quite difficult to park. My daughter was driving and we needed to drive around a little bit. We're going to walk to the campsite in the village, and then I'll tell you about the walk when we come back. So we have just got home and I can tell you where we went. So we walked to the campsite and then we walked up a little road, and from the road you could look down over the town. Not really a town, a little village, and you could hear the church bells ringing. Oh, I forgot to say, I didn't take a cap. No, I took my crazy hat because an English girl, or I, have very white skin, so I need to be protected from the sun. And this is my crazy hat. It's very practical because I can squash it up in a ball and put it in my rucksack. And then we walked up a road. They even have Land Rovers here, like the Queen. There's a big stock of wood here for the winter. I think they must make some nice fires. And we walked through a forest. But the forest road, the little path through the forest, was quite steep. And so even when we took Mandy off her lead, she didn't run quickly in front like she usually does. She just stayed walking slowly by or behind my husband. I don't know if you can see, but that was quite steep. So we've just stopped to have a drink of water. If I take the top off, it would be better. And so we continued walking through the forest, and then we started to see the River Loue, and we could see the vineyards on the other side of the river, where we were going to walk back through in the afternoon. It's getting quite windy now in the trees, and we're going to continue down to the river to have a picnic. And then we walked down through the forest to the river, and near the river there was another campsite near a village called Lods, which is on the River Loue. In fact, we went on the same walk about 5 years ago with my parents. So we stopped to have a picnic and we sat by the river for a little while. The river was quite high and we could hear the water because there was a weir just by the campsite. So let me think, what did we have for our picnic? Oh, it was very simple. We took lots of things to eat quickly and we put them in our rucksacks. We had cherry tomatoes and crisps. I even made a crisp sandwich. It's all coming out. Do you like crisp sandwiches, or is that a very strange English thing? And what else did we have? Yes, my daughter had made some hard-boiled eggs. That's one of my favourites on picnics. Do you like going for picnics? Let me know in the comments your favourite picnic. Of course, Mandy was very thirsty after all that walking. So then we continued a little along the river and we got to the village called Lods, which is supposed to be one of the most beautiful, one of the prettiest villages in France. And then we crossed the river to turn back and to walk back to Vuillafans, where we had come from. And we followed a GR. Have you heard of GRs? A GR in France is a grande randonnée, which means a very, very long walk you can do through a region, for example. And so we'd followed the GR up into the vineyards. But just before we turned on the path on the GR up into the vineyards, Mandy found a new friend. Well, not really. Another steep path. It was a very pretty little path walking up to the vineyards. There were a lot of buttercups. Is it yellow? Do I like butter? I do actually. And daisies. He loves me not. He loves me not. He loves me, yeah, yeah, yeah. He loves me, yeah, yeah, yeah. And mayflowers by the path in the fields. We have a lot of vineyards in this area of France, and at this time of year the leaves, can you see the leaves, are just coming on the vines. They're just coming out. If you drink wine, have you ever tried any French wine? Or if you're from France, which is your favourite wine? I quite like a very strong wine here called vin jaune, which means yellow wine. That's a strange name. So then we walked back out of the vineyards and back down into Vuillafans, into the village. Mandy found another friend on the way. Well, not really. And I found some friends too. And then when we had finished making friends, we drove back home. That was quite fun. My daughter was driving. You know she is learning to drive. And so my husband made her drive along a very bendy road, a very winding road. And then back through the forest and through the countryside and back along the dual carriageway, which is a road with two roads on each side, so 1, 2, 3, 4 lanes, and then back home.
Attention! Stop!
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next one. And while you're waiting for the next one, you might like to watch the video I made last year, if you haven't seen it, about a city under a lake. It's in the Doubs Valley, not far from here, where I live. Take care, and I'll see you next time.